בעזרת השם נעשה ונצליח, חיים ארוכים. It's a good sign. Tonight's learning, first of all, I'd like to welcome you, Mario, to the Lighthouse Project. Tonight's learning is dedicated to the people and the city of Houston. May Hashem grant all those affected by the recent hurricane complete Yeshua and success. This class is sponsored by DJ Acquisitions for the Sachar Zevurut sponsorship and for the Refuah Shema Menachem Mendel Ben Sabata and the Refuah Fegel Bat Reza. Tonight's learning is also dedicated by David Ben Jody Yehudit, that Hashem should give him clarity and bring him back to the path of Torah, for the Refuah Shema, bring him back to the path of Torah. Amen. Be'ezrat Hashem, that should happen soon. We also have our own sponsors for this class, the Issachar and Zevulun sponsorship, H&M Builders, in honor of their grandfather Yosef Ben Yehuda, Joseph Dornbush and the Dornbush family. We also have a righteous lady from the East Coast doing this in honor of her three boys, Yonatan Michael Ben Stacy, Eliyahu Ben Stacy, Sharone Ben Stacy, so they can merit to become Talmidei Chachamim. And I think we're getting one step closer to it because yesterday we learned together for the first time. Baruch Hashem. We also want to have this to Leilui Nishmat Ephraim Ben Mordechai Halevi. Be'ezrat Hashem is your titus this week. All these Divrei Torah will be for his merit. Welcome. Tonight's class would be great if it would be shared, liked and shared and passed on. Like we always say, you don't know what just one piece of Torah nugget can just spark another Jew and bring him back to Avodat Hashem. So please like and share. Tonight's class, Be'ezrat Hashem, is going to be Aleph Tishrei. Everything changes. As we continue our spiritual preparation for Rosh Hashanah, in previous classes we've discussed the importance of Teshuvah, and we said that tagline of Mechaseh Pesha'av Lo Yatzliach, anyone who tries to hide his sins is not going to succeed. Umodeh ve'ozev Yerucham. And the secret formula to Teshuvah, or to the Teshuvah season, is Modeh, admit, Ozev, leave it behind, and you activate Rachamim from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Last week's lesson we spoke about the 40-day challenge, the 40 days of change, the original formula of Moshe Rabbeinu, and how you can actually change your character and how you can change your life in a 40-day period, uprooting bad habits and upgrading yourself by adding good midot, staying laser focused, giving real strong attention for 40 days. It has the power to do that. And doing that gets you a personal transformation that sometimes takes a lifetime to achieve. So we found a beautiful shortcut. Stay focused on one thing that you're trying to add to yourself or delete from yourself, and in 40 days, it could happen. And as our spiritual journey to the holiday season continues with Rosh Chodesh Elul, you might already see some Sephardic Jews waking up really early in the morning, going into shul and beginning selichot.
That shul next to us is packed.
Really? This is our time.
All around the neighborhood.
Hi, welcome. And in the mornings, you'll see that they wake up super early and they come and they spend an hour to 2 hours working on their teshuvah, singing. The selichot opens up with Ben Adam Alecha Nirdam Kum Kera Betachanunim. It says, Ben Adam, what are you sleeping? Wake up. It's time to wake up and start to do your teshuvah process. So we already have some shuls that you're hearing the sounds of teshuvah. The hearts are beginning to awaken to Teshuvah, either by the songs that are being sung in Selichot, or either by the self-introspect of people that are serious about their Teshuvah process and the outcome of Yom Hadin. As many people are ready to put this entire year behind them, many people are preparing to pray really, really hard for the outcome of the new year. Because everybody wants to pray for a fresh page, a brand new page, a new start, a new look, new opportunities to press reset on their lives. Or some would pray to have everything continue the way that it is. Maybe people are already on the right track and they're wishing that it just continue in this direction and go higher and higher. And as every Jew prepares their Jewish wish list to Hashem about health and wealth, zivug, children, financial success, spiritual success, and some will even pray for Israel, some people will pray for the land of Israel, some people will pray for Mashiach. Everybody has a very unique wish list come Rosh Hashanah. But one thing is for sure, on Aleph Tishrei, everything changes. On Aleph Tishrei, we turn a new page in life, feeling optimistic and positive, and hoping and praying that we can mekayem the blessing, which is what we all want, Tahel Shana u'Birkotea, that the year should it should start with all its blessings. That's what we really want. We want to go through this whole Teshuvah process and leave shul that night. This is a good year, filled with blessings. I feel it. I know it. I did my work in Elul. I did my Teshuvah. And in order to understand why particularly that on this day everything changes, we need a little history lesson about Aleph Tishrei, the first of Tishrei. Tonight we'll take a closer look specifically on that one day. The history, the events, the miracles, the spiritual energy, and we will try to utilize some of the best segulot that are available to us and that Chazal has privied us over the years. Welcome. And we'll begin to take advantage of that 40-hour period that determines the next 365 days of our life. It's 48 hours. We're still in that 40 mode from last week. Did I say 40? 48 hours. So let's go back in time. Let's go back in time. Aleph Tishrei. Where did it start? Bereshit. It says Bereshit, the pasuk says Bereshit bara Elokim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. That's how our whole Torah begins. The rabbis tell us, if you take the word Bereshit, it spells out Aleph Tishrei. Go ahead, do it in your mind. It's Aleph Tishrei. There's no machloket on when it was created. It was machloket if Nisan, the spiritual words, were created in Nisan. The spiritual words. But it says, the rabbi tells that Bereshit is Aleph Tishrei. It's the first of Tishrei. It's actually the world's birthday. Rosh Hashanah, welcome. It's the world's birthday. It's also Adam HaRishon's birthday. There's many people that on Rosh Hashanah, they buy birthday cakes. And they celebrate Adam HaRishon to his birthday. It's actually the original Earth Day. Technically, it's actually the 6th day of creation, by the way, if you really want to get technical about it. It's the 6th day of creation. But Aleph Tishrei, the first one ever in history, is the day that the world was finished to be created, with Adam HaRishon as part of it. And Adam HaRishon, if you look into it a little bit, just to understand, if you want to know the root of the year, of that day, you have to go to the root of that day, and which is the first day that Eva came to this world. Aleph Tishrei is the day that Adam came into this world. So the Gemara goes into the hours, splitting up the hours of what he did, and basically on that day, we know that Adam HaRishon sinned, and he wasn't able to go into Gan Eden. What happened? He was supposed to die. Who came to protect Adam HaRishon? The Shabbat. The Shabbat comes to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and says, just now, right before Shabbat comes in, you're going to kill Adam HaRishon for sinning. So on the first Shabbat of history, there's going to be a murder, or there's going to be a killing. So Hashem says, okay, I oblige. We're going to save Adam HaRishon. That's why Adam HaRishon says, wow, there's a concept of Teshuvah. From Gemara, I'll give you all the sources at the end. Shalom Aleichem. So the shir that we say, Shir Yom Shabbat every day, who wrote that song? Adam HaRishon. Shir Shel Yom Shabbat, Adam HaRishon wrote it. And that's in awe of how Shabbat was able to save him as well as have Teshuvah. So we can see that on Aleph Tishrei, it's a beginning of something. It's the beginning of the world, the beginning of the human race, and also the first time that we see Teshuvah being applied. Forgiveness being applied. Aleph Tishrei. Here's the root of that day. Also, Sarah Imenu, Rivka Imenu, Hannah, Baba Sali also share that birthday. They also were born on Aleph Tishrei. Sarah and Rivka and Hannah also died on that day, actually, because tzaddikim back in the days, their birthday was the day that they die also. If they were born on Aleph Tishrei, they also pass away on Aleph Tishrei. Small little footnote for you guys. If we continue a little bit further on in history, in the time of Noach, when the people angered HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted to destroy the world, no one did Teshuvah. Noach built the ark, and the world was immersed in this intense rain, this mabul. And only Noach and his family, and we know the 7 and 7, 2 and 2, kosher animal, non-kosher animals, all made it to the boat. And the day that Hashem pressed reset on our planet, in other words, we had Adam HaRishon and all the people after it, and then once he said, you know what? I'm done with this. Let's start all over again. He started with Noach. When was the day that Noach opened up the door to the ark and started anew? Aleph Tishrei. Again, a new beginning with Noach also happened Aleph Tishrei. Some more history on that day. Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, and also Hannah, all nifkedu, they all got pregnant on Aleph Tishrei. You should know that all our matriarchs, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, 3 of the 4 matriarchs, were barren. They weren't able to bear children. And they all had to pray very, very hard to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and they all got answered on the same day, Aleph Tishrei. As a matter of fact, Sarah, the rabbis tell us, she was an Ilonit. She didn't even have the reproductive system. She had a brand new reproductive system put into her. Some of it is also so the Goyim, when they say that Sarah Imenu comes from a Goy. So they could always have a claim that Avraham, okay, he's the first Jew, but Sarah, she's not the first Jew. Her father is a Goy. So Hashem made the whole system brand new that they can't even say that it belongs to them. She was an Ilonit. Hashem reversed all their fates of being a barren woman, of a woman that can't have children, reversed it, turned it upside down, all on Aleph Tishrei. There's another tzaddiket that we mentioned before that also got answered on Rosh Hashanah. Her name is Hannah. The story of Hannah is very interesting. Hannah was married to a gentleman named Elkanah. And Elkanah had two wives. He had Pnina and Hannah. Pnina was having kids easily. Hannah couldn't bear children. She was constantly asking her husband to pray for her. She constantly asked him to go to the Kohanim so they can give her some minchot, some bread, some food from offering so she could eat it and she could merit to have children. And she wasn't able to bear children. One day she comes to Elkanah and she tells him, he asks her, why are you so sad? Why are you so sad? So it says over there, Vayomer la Elkanah isha, her husband answers her, Hannah, lama tifki, velama lo tochli, why are you crying and how come you're not eating? Don't you have an appetite? Velama ira levavech, why is your heart so bitter? Halo ani tov lach ma'asara banim, I'm better than 10 boys. You need one son? I'm like, I'll do anything for you. I'll clean for you, I'll pick up for you, I'll get for you, whatever you need. Give me the workload of 10 boys, I'll do it for you. I'm better than 10 boys. She said right there and then, this guy's not praying for me. He's not praying for me. He's not praying for me to have children. If he was, he wouldn't say that to me. He's not invested in my prayers like I am. So Hannah realized that only Hashem can help her. So in the beginning of the Siddur, we have a very interesting thing that we say every single day before we start praying. By the way, we learned how to pray from Hannah. She's the one that taught us how to pray, that we have to move our lips, what's the right way to do it. There's a whole list of rules that we learned how to pray just from Hannah's story. But us, every morning, before we get started with Shachrit, there's a little part that says, Vatitpalel Hannah. I'm going to read you just the first line to show you how deep it is. How deep this, imagine, she's the second wife. The first wife is just having child after child. She was up to like even 7 or 8. Okay? Her husband already, in a way, gave up. He's just like, you got me. You don't need children. All she wants is a child. A woman will tell you. One of the most important things that defines a woman is having children. She was at that point that she really wanted a child. In the beginning of the prayer, we read the whole chapter of Vatitpalel Hannah to remind us. Remember how to pray. Remember how Hannah did it. The first line is very telling. It says, "Vatitpalel Hannah vatomar, alatz libi ba'Adonai, rama karni ba'Adonai, rachav pi alovai ki samachti b'shoatecha." So it says that Hannah was praying, and then she says that my heart yearned. But here, for anyone who speaks Hebrew over here, grammatically it doesn't make sense. It says alatz libi. It should have been la Shem. In other, to Hashem. What's alatz libi ba? Donai, Ramakarni, Ba Donai, Rachav Pi Alovai, Kisamachti B'Shoatecha. Why is she saying Ba? It makes no sense. It's like in. My heart yearned in Hashem. It's my heart yearned to Hashem. So grammatically, it should have been La Shem and not Ba Shem. What do we learn over here? This use of just this, the difference between the Lamet and the Bet. Okay, you guys know the story of the Sotah? The wayward woman that they bring the husband suspects her of being with another man. They bring her to the Bet HaMikdash. There's a whole process with the Kohen where she drinks the bitter waters. Those bitter waters, what's special about them is that there's a special klaf that they write Hashem's name on it, and that name they put it into the water and it gets erased. And she drinks those waters. If she was guilty, her stomach blows up, she falls to her knees, she explodes. If not, she merits to have a baby boy. So when she says, Alatz libi ba Hashem, she says, I want the same result of the Sotah. I want the same result of the Hashem's name being erased in the water and me getting pregnant with a baby boy. In other words, she was saying, Elkanah, I could go run around now behind a tree or behind a bush or behind a building and make believe as if I'm with someone. Then I make you take me to Bet HaMikdash. They make me drink the water, and what do? I get pregnant. But what she says, but I'm not sneaky. I'm not going to do that. I believe that I can get the same result. How? With my prayer. That's libi badonai, by the result. By the result of Hashem's name. And what did she do? She went and she prayed. And because she prayed, she was able to flip her mazal upside down, and she merited to have a prophet. A prophet. And she told Hashem, when you give me a child, it's not so I can go show him off. Look how he says his Aleph Bet. Look how he says his prayers. Look how he's wearing his kippah and tzitzit. She didn't want to show him off. She said, I'll give him straight to you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to you. I just want to have a son so he can serve you. Sirut Nefesh. With her strong prayers, she was able to change her fate completely, and she ended up bearing a child. We move a little bit further in the history of Aleph Bet Tishrei. Another interesting event that happened on the first of Tishrei is Akedat Yitzchak. Akedat Yitzchak happened on Rosh Hashanah. It says, the pasuk begins, "Vayi achar devarim haele, va'Elohim nisa et Avraham." So, Avraham Avinu was the first one to have a Brit Milah. He had two sons. One was Ishmael, right? The father of all the Arabs. And one was Yitzchak. And one day, Ishmael and Yitzchak are having a conversation. And Ishmael is telling Yitzchak, I'm better than you. I got my circumcision when I was 13. And Yitzchak tells him, well, I did it when I had no choice, when I was just 8 days old. And if Hashem puts me on an altar right now, I'd sacrifice myself. Remember, we said that the Yetzer Hara is always sitting right by your lips. He's just waiting for you to say something. He grabs it, and he goes straight upstairs, and he tries to prosecute. As soon as Yitzchak said that, he went upstairs to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He said, Yitzchak said he can be a sacrifice and an altar. Now, this is right after Avraham Avinu had some of the 9 biggest tests of his life. The Yetzer Hara is telling HaKadosh Baruch Hu, let me test Avraham. Let me test him. I want to test him. Give him one of my tests. I want the test of having his son on an altar. So when it says, Vayu achar devarim ha'elu, what are these devarim? It could have been, Vaya achar davar hazeh, after this one event that Yitzchak and Ishmael spoke. HaDevarim, the two things that happened, is the Yetzer Hara talking to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Ishmael talking to Yitzchak. He put them together, and there goes the 10th test of Avraham Avinu, of Avraham taking his beloved son, putting him on the altar, and that happened, Aleph Bet Tishrei.
So that's when it says it happened after these events, it's those two events.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. One was all of Abraham's trials and the conversation of the Yetzer Hara with Kadosh Baruch Hu, and the other one, the Midrash tells us, the conversation of Yitzchak and Ishmael. So here we are, Yitzchak is on the altar. We actually read this and sing about this in Rosh Hashanah, on that particular event. How come it's not in Pesach? How come we don't do it in Shavuot? How come only in Rosh Hashanah? Because it happened on Rosh Hashanah. It happened on that day. Now, Yitzchak is on the altar. His father Avraham Avinu has the blade in his hand. He's ready to go. Chazal tell us, Yaakov's neshama left his body and went to the heavens and stayed there for 3 years. Why? This is a little deep, but you should know this because it's very important for the second part of this lesson. Yitzchak Avinu had a neshama, which they call a neshama de nukba, a female soul. Not the way that you all might think it. It's not that type of thing. It's not some sort of feminine. It's like, imagine a soul has certain wiring, right? Like a plus and a minus. So his were two pluses or two minuses. He needed to get rewired to a plus and a minus. So like that he can procreate. His neshama wasn't wired properly. He needed a neshama, the duhra, a more masculine neshama. Again, it has nothing to do with the concepts that we have today. I'm talking on very lofty concepts of things that the Zohar speaks about. But I'm just trying to explain to you that what happened on Aleph Tishrei is Yitzchak Avinu's neshama went to the Shamayim, got a tune-up, and came back down. His soul got upgraded on that day.
On the same day as the Akedah.
The day of the Akedah he went up, 3 years later he came down. The neshama. So he got an upgrade on his soul. Okay, let's move on. Another event that happened on Rosh Hashanah. Yosef HaTzadik was in jail for 12 years. 10 years because Hotzi Dibat al Achiv. In other words, he went to jail as sort of a punishment because he spoke negatively about his brothers, where he went and he told his father about what they're doing. So I guess that was his punishment. Hashem saw it fit that he be in jail for 10 years. And then just as he's about to get out, he goes into jail for another 2 years. He gets an extension. Why? Because when he was in jail, and there was Sarah Mashkim and Sarah Ofim, when they came out, on the way out, when they were leaving, because he was able to get reinstated in his position, and he told them, remember, I interpreted the dreams that you're going to make it, and he's going to die. So he says in Hebrew, he says, Zachartani v'izkartani, remember me and then mention me. So because he says, remember me and mention me, meaning you're relying on Sarah Ofim to get you out of your jam, you're relying on a human being to get you out of your problem, Hashem goes, you know what? Okay, 2 more years for those 2 words. So he stayed there for 12 years. But on the 12th year, on Aleph Tishrei, is when Yosef got out of jail. Keep in mind that all these things that I'm telling you, if it happened on that day has the power to do that every single day for eternity. We'll get to that in a second. He was released on Rosh Hashanah. He later became the viceroy in Egypt. Further on, after his death, his Jews were enslaved for 210 years. And after 210 years, on Rosh Hashanah, on Aleph Tishrei, the Jews were freed from slavery. That also happened on that day. So you can clearly see that on Rosh Hashanah, everything changes. This day has the potential for all things to happen. Let's do a quick review. I say this many times in most of my classes, I'll say it again. The year is actually, time is not a timeline, it's a time spiral. You have to imagine the year is 365 days just turning in a circle. And they're just constantly repeating. It's a year that's repeating itself. However, every time that a certain day comes around, whatever energy is available on that day is available throughout the ages. Like for example, why is Yom Kippur Yom Kippur? Because that's the day that Hashem forgave us. Right? On Yud B'Tishrei, that's the day that Hashem forgave us. Moshe came down from the mountains. Salachti kedvarecha. So since that day, Hashem forgave us. Every time that day comes around, we tap into the energy. We tap into that energy that guy. We tap into that energy that Hashem is constantly forgiving us on that day. So every time that Yom Kippur comes around, we know forgiveness is available. So we're talking now about Aleph Tishrei. So everything that I just mentioned to you now, all that is available on that day. Let's go down the list. A little quick review. We learned from Bereshit, new beginnings. On Aleph Tishrei, you have new beginnings. new starts. It's just like it was a new earth, a new world, a new race, the birth of the human race, Adam HaRishon. You can also have a rebirth on Rosh Hashanah. You can become a brand new you on Rosh Hashanah. A completely different person in one day. We learned from Noah that after everything went wrong, Hashem says, wow, it's all wrong. It's all wrong. They missed the boat. Literally. They missed the boat. They just don't get it. I have to scrap it all and start fresh. And he did. From Noah we know that no matter how bad it is, no matter how far away you went, you have that Noah's Ark that you can get into and press restart and have a new beginning. Hashem basically started the world all over again with Noah and a few animals. All possible on that day. If you're a brand new person, or if you have a bad history behind you, activate Noah. Press reset just like Noah did. We saw with the imahot, the matriarchs, that barren women can become fertile. A woman who's struggling with getting pregnant, a woman who's struggling with a pregnancy, has the power to get fertile on that day, to lipaked beoto yom, to get the blessing, to get the gift of life on that day. A woman can get the gift of life on that day, on Aleph Tishrei. Just have to know how to press that button that gives you that beracha. Yitzhak got a brand new soul. He got a brand new soul. He got an upgraded soul on that day. He had a Mesirut Nefesh, where he was demonstrating for all the ages to come that put your neck out and show Hashem that you're willing to die for Hashem. He'll upgrade your soul. He'll upgrade you. He'll give you a brand new neshama. On Aleph Tishrei, you can get a brand new neshama. You want to become holier? Not a problem. You want to become cleaner? Not a problem. Anything that you want to do, if you want your neshama to get upgraded, to get dry clean, to get to a new level, Yitzhak Avinu shows us it's possible. He laid down the groundwork for us. Yosef showed us freedom from jail. You can get out of jail on Rosh Hashanah. Freedom from your personal jail. Everyone has a mental jail that they're in. Everyone's like certain thoughts that lock you into a way of thinking. You can get out of that jail. Yosef showed it to us. You can get upgraded to a king. You can become a king. In your home, in your life, you can become a king. Yosef showed us that you can be a nothing and go back to a king overnight. And that's how it happened. That energy is available on that day. Am Yisrael, the nation of Israel, got freed from physical bondage, got freed from slavery on Rosh Hashanah, which shows us that we have the power to get out of our personal mitzrayim. You know, every time you see mitzrayim in the Chumash, that's your personal struggles that you're going with, that you have. So, Am Yisrael shows us, on Aleph Tishrei, you can get out of your mitzrayim. What is your mitzrayim? Prepare it. Come to Rosh Hashanah and say, Akadosh Baruch Hu, this is my mitzrayim. I'm having financial issues. I'm looking for a zivug. I need shlom bayit. I need better education for my kids. I need whatever it is, better health. Take that whole mitzrayim that you have, tie it up in a bow, bring it with you to shul on Rosh Hashanah, and say, Hashem, here's my mitzrayim. Get me out of it. Get me out, just like the Jewish people got out of Egypt and got out of their mitzrayim. Get me out of my personal mitzrayim. You can do that in Rosh Hashanah. On Aleph Tishrei, everything changes. Everything can change for the better or for the worse. It all depends on your teshuvah and your prayer. In previous classes, we've discussed teshuvah. Just to give a quick little reminder, we've discussed teshuvah in general, in many of the other classes that we've done before, but we've discussed about teshuvah of Tishrei. It's a unique type of teshuvah. It's not a regular teshuvah that happens in these few weeks. Something different here. What's different? I'm not going to go too much into it because we did go in depth in our previous class, if you want to check it out. But I'll give you a quick little cheat sheet to what we did. First tagline that you should follow this entire teshuvah season is Mechaseh pesha'av lo yatzliach. Anyone who tries to hide his sins or his wrongdoings is not going to be successful. It's impossible. You know why? You can't hide anything from Hashem. It's impossible. U'modeh ve'ozev yerucham. That's the magic formula. A plus B equals C. Modeh, I admit. Hashem, I didn't keep Shabbat properly. I didn't eat kosher. I didn't pray. I didn't protect my eyes. I spilled seed. Whatever. Each person, there's so many things that a person can say, I admit, I am sorry. Second part is ozev. That was it. No more. I'm not going to, I'm going to keep Shabbat. I'm going to eat kosher. I'm going to start to pray. Ozev, modeh, you admit it, ve'ozev, and you leave it behind, and you take upon you a new road, a new path. Activates Yerucham, mercy. Hashem says, okay, now I can deal with you with mercy. Because keep in mind, this is Yom Hadin, Judgment Day. You don't want judgment. You want Hashem to get off that chair of judgment and sit on the chair of mercy. And we can do that. We can do that. We have all the little, shortcuts that Chazal told us, activate this, you'll get it. You can get a merciful king. You can get the easy judge on Rosh Hashanah. Not the judge that's going to throw the book at you. The easy judge, the one that lets everyone go. You can get it. How? Modeh ve'ozev yerucham. We also spoke in our last lesson, notnim la betula 12 chodesh, that they give the virgin or the one that's getting married for the first time 12 months. So we said that the pshat is that the woman that gets married for the first time, they give her 12 months to get ready for the dress, for the food, for the hall, for all the things that pertain to the wedding. We give her 12 months to get ready. But the deeper meaning is that notim la betula. What's the betula? Chodesh Elul, the zodiac sign for Chodesh Elul is betula, is Virgo. And we give the month of Virgo 12 chodesh. It has this chodesh Elul. Why everyone's talking teshuvah? Why is everybody trying to wake us up to teshuvah? Because Elul has the power of the entire year packed into 1 month. Notnim la betula. We give to the Virgo 12 months. Doesn't matter what you did the entire year. You make teshuvah and you take on yourself a new path. Elul has the power to send you up and has the power to forgive for the 11 months and to push you forward to the next year. The last, not the last one, another concept that we said when it comes to teshuvah, you have to change your identity. In other words, they sent you a letter to show up to court with your name on it, right? You have to show up to court on Aleph Tishrei, you're getting judged. And they have a case. But between now and that court date, you want to do something else. You want to change your identity. If you didn't eat kosher, you start to eat kosher. If you don't keep Shabbat, now you keep Shabbat. Even if it's just 3 Shabbatot. If you, take upon yourself something, each one knows exactly what they're not keeping. Take that one thing, deal with it for the next 3, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, show up to court and they say, okay, it's your turn. Let's say Jack Levy. Sorry, no. Jack Levy's not here. We got Jack Levy 2.0. It's a new version. This one keeps Shabbat. The Jack Levy from before, he's a new guy. I mean, that's the old guy. Jack Levy 2.0, he goes to Shul on Shabbat now. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. It's a different case now. We didn't know. We have to regroup. We have to reevaluate. And that's what you want to do. You want Hashem to reevaluate you. You don't want Him to go on what you did the entire year. So you want to change your identity any way that you can. The more mitzvot that you can do. And understand, whatever you can do in Elul is like a turbo boost from the entire year. Take advantage of it. Be the best version of a Jew that you can be in this few weeks. And the last concept of teshuvah that is very, very important to be conscious of is Bet Din Shel Mala versus Bet Din Shel Mata. There's two courts in session right now. There's the one in the heavens and there's the one here. The one in the heavens, the one who's leading the prosecution, is the devil himself. He doesn't want you to win. Bet Din Shel Mata, you're representing yourself. You are the defendant, you are the lawyer, and you're also the judge. You, Bet Din Shel Mata. As long as you are judging yourself, as long as you're doing some soul searching, some soul searching and looking into what you need to upgrade about yourself, what you have to change about yourself, as long as you're judging yourself, the Bet Din Shel Mata says, hands off of that guy. He's doing the work for us. We don't need to touch him. We don't need to deal with him. He's dealing with himself. You're changing your identity because you show up again, Jack Levy, after Teshuvah. It's not the same Jack Levy from before. It's completely different. You want to change your identity and you want to be your Bet Din Shel Mata. You want to be the one judging yourself here. Because as long as you're judging yourself here, they're not judging you upstairs. That's Teshuvah. But tonight, let's focus on Tefillah. Because we've spoken about prayer in many classes, but tonight we'll talk specifically about prayer in Rosh Hashanah. It's a little bit different. It's a little bit different. Pay attention to how almost every single person that we mentioned before, if it's Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Hannah, if it's Adam HaRishon, they all had a prayer that got them out of trouble. It's the prayer, the tefillah. We know that Rosh Hashanah is teshuvah and tefillah. Teshuvah and tefillah, those are two things. You got two bullets. One is teshuvah, one is tefillah. That's all you have. That's all you have. Teshuvah, believe it or not, is kind of easy. Because you can actually say, Hashem, I'm changing one thing about myself. Just one thing. Because that's what I can honestly stick to. And you know what he'll tell you? Thanks for being honest. I'll take it. I'll take you just keeping Shabbat from now on. I'll take you just keeping kosher from now on. You're a different person. Yesterday you weren't like that. Even just one. Teshuvah. But tefillah for Rosh Hashanah is very, very important. Why? Most people walk into Rosh Hashanah and they try to pack into that 5-minute Amidah everything. Hashem, sorry for last year's mistakes. You know my heart, I'm a good guy. And by the way, for next year, here's my list. That you bring in your pocket to make sure that everything is in. Like a broad stroke of one big I'm sorry for everything. And right away going into that wish list of what we want for the next year. I want to tell you something. That type of tefillah does not work. That prayer doesn't work. It doesn't work. The prayer that really does work is a heartfelt prayer, a prepared prayer. The same way that you're sitting down and you do a teshuvah, where you take a piece of paper and you do your pros and cons, plus, minus, this is what's good about me, this is what's bad about me. Take another piece of paper and say, you know what? What am I really praying for? What am I really praying for? Because what happens is, it's very exciting that moment. There's hundreds of Jews around you. So your mind gets busy. What is he wearing? What is she wearing? What is he saying? What's that conversation behind? You get dizzy. And you try to close your eyes or maybe just feel like very connected to tefillah. But just as you're about to get that train of thought going, boom, here comes the Hazara. They're already moving on. There's a schedule to keep. So when are you going to squeeze in that super magical prayer of Rosh Hashanah? If you don't prepare it, you're like a deer in headlights and you miss the opportunity. There goes Rosh Hashanah without a heartfelt tefillah. So what do? You prepare it. The right way to prepare it is that you do the same thing. What do I want for the next year? Spiritually, materialistically, in every way, for myself, for my family. And if you are on that level, for Am Yisrael, for the Jewish nation, for my neighbor, for my friend, Who are you praying for? What are you praying for? You can't squeeze it into in 5 minutes. You have to prepare that prayer. And when you come and pray in shul, then you could say, Hashem, I'm having a kavanah towards the whole list that I prepared. For 30 days I'm sitting on that list. Remember, you could tell him, reference to this. You could pull that off in 5 minutes. But to just come in and not be prepared and think you're going to be able to say everything to Hashem for what you did last year and what you want for the next year in that small time span, it's not going to work. So tefillah is very important. How important is tefillah? You spoke earlier about Yitzhak and Ishmael. Something very interesting about Ishmael. First thing that you should know, that all the Arabs come from him. He's the root. He's the father of all the Arab nations. Ishmael. He was thrown out of Abraham's house by Sarah. His mom Hagar and Ishmael were thrown out. Sarah saw that he's a bad influence on Yitzhak. She said, no, get her out of here. She was thrown out. She was sent to the desert. She lost her way. They started to die of thirst. What does she do? She leaves her son to die. She puts him under a bush. And she goes and stands by the side. She was just going to watch him die. Ironically, it's almost what they do today. They send their kids to die and they just stand on the side to see how it happens. But that's the root of that, by the way. How can a mom send her kids to be a terrorist? There's the root. It started with Hagar. She sent him to die while she was standing there on the wayside. What happened there? Ishmael is dying of thirst. He's dying. And he's praying to Hashem. He's doing teshuvah. And Hashem sends angels to save him, to give him water. All of a sudden, a whole group of angels come to Hashem. How could you do this? Wait. This is the father of all evil. This is where all the Arabs are going to come from here. All the terrorist attacks. They're going to torture your children. Look what's going to happen at the end of times with the Arabs and the Jews. Don't let them live, so we don't have to deal with that. You know what Hashem said? I'm sorry. Right now, he's a tzaddik. Right now, he's a tzaddik. I cannot kill him because what's going to happen 5,000 years from now, 4,000 years from now, or whatever it is. Right now, he's a tzaddik. I judge him according to who he is right now. And because he's a tzaddik right now, go give him water. And Ishmael was saved. Hashem judges you on the Rosh Hashanah on how you are on that day. What? We learn from Ishmael that Hashem judges you according to who you are on that day. In other words, if on that day, on Rosh Hashanah, you're holding a book and you're doing teshuvah and you're praying to Hashem, and Hashem is like looking down, he's like, okay, what's going on with Mr. Jack Levy? And you look up, oh, look at this. Angels, go, take him away, give him water, no deen for him, extend this contract for another year. He judges you for how you are on that day. Could you imagine? Would you not be immersed in prayer that entire day? They say, according to who you are on that day, is how he judges you. Now imagine, your turn comes up in the Shamayim, and what are you doing? You're in the front of the shul, talking about the year and fashion and whatever people talk about. You know, like it's one big schmooze fest on Rosh Hashanah. Especially when you're single. Oh my God! So hard for the singles to stay connected to the Kedusha of that day because they want to meet. They want to meet their zivug. They want to meet their friends. It's the one time a year that they get to see people that they haven't seen in years. It's like an event. But if you're down here and you're just talking nonsense, what is Hashem going to do? He has to judge you on how you are on that day. But we learn from Ishmael an amazing loophole to Rosh Hashanah. Chana. See, in the beginning of the beginning of parasha, in the beginning of prayer, we said Vatitpalel Chana. We mentioned that Chana prayed. In the end of the Sidur, in the end of Shachrit, she comes up again. In other words, we mentioned Hannah in the beginning of prayer, and then at the end, what does it say in the end? Vayomer la Elkanah, what I mentioned before, that her husband Elkanah told her, Lama tifki ve'lama tuchli ve'lama ira levavech, halo anuchi tov lach ma'aseh banim. I can do everything for you. I'm better than 10 boys. Why do we say Vatitpalel Hannah? We see her story of how she was yearning for a boy in the beginning, and then later on, at the end of the Siddur, we see Elkanah trying to appease her that I'm better than 10 boys for you. Why are you crying? You have me. What's the connection? The connection is when you start prayer, you have to pray like Hannah. You have such a strong desire that you can't. You're that woman that needs that boy. She needs a child. She's living in a home where the woman has 7 children. Everyone in the neighborhood has children. She's barren. She wants a child. That's how you pray in the morning. At the end of the tefillah, when she realizes that her husband is saying, I'm better than 10 boys, meaning you're not praying for me to have a boy? You think that I want you as opposed to the child that I've been praying for? What does she realize? I can only depend on Hashem. I can't even depend on my husband. I can only depend on Hashem. And at the end of the prayer, you say that there's no intermediaries in life. Have a direct connection to Hashem when it comes to your tefillah. Your tefillah has to be strong like Hannah and to have no intermediaries. That you are the one that is going to have the direct connection with Hashem. And Rosh Hashanah, that's what we learn. On Rosh Hashanah, don't rely on the rabbi to pray for you. Don't rely on your friend to mention your name. Go to shul, pray for yourself. Try to activate the direct connection between you and Hashem on Rosh Hashanah. Apart from Uman, Rosh Hashanah, the Tzaddik, we know. I'm going to give it an homage in a bit. The Gemara in Masechet Kiddushin has something super interesting. It says, when a woman wants to get married, back in the day, you would be able to propose to her in a way. You tell her, I'm a rich man and I want to marry you. And she obliges. She says, okay, I'll marry you because you're a rich man. I'm a Talmid Chacham. Marry me because I'm a Talmid Chacham. She'll say, I'll oblige. Okay, I'll marry you because you're a Talmid Chacham. I'm a Tzaddik. Okay, I'll marry you because you're a Tzaddik. Like it's as if he gave... It's as if he gave like a condition to the proposal. Masechet Kiddushin says, I'll read it in Hebrew and then I'll explain it. HaMekadesh et ha'isha al menat shani tzaddik. A person who says, marry me because I'm a tzaddik. Afilu im hu rasha gamur. Even if he turns out to be a complete rasha, completely opposite from what he said, for how he presented himself, mekudeshet. She's his. The other ones, if let's say he tells her, hey, marry me, I'm rich, she finds out he's a poor person, it's null and void. She doesn't have to marry him. If he tells her, marry me, I'm a president in my town, and he turns out to be just a regular guy, she can null and void the whole proposal or the marriage, you lied to me. But if a person comes to her and says, marry me, al menat shani tzaddik, because I'm a tzaddik, she can't get a divorce. She can't get it annulled. Chashinan shema hiret tshuva b'da'ato. Says why? He says because at that specific moment he had teshuvah in his heart that he knew that the only way he's going to get this girl is if he's a tzaddik. So he says, you know what? I'm going to be a tzaddik. In order to marry her, I'm going to be a tzaddik. I'm a tzaddik. She says, okay, you're a tzaddik. I'll be with you. She finds out later, hey, listen, he doesn't have the greatest midot. He's not the greatest tzaddik. What happens? She's stuck. The Gemara continues to say, הגמרא מדברת על אדם שקידש אישה על מנת שאני צדיק. So the Gemara is talking about a guy that says, this is the condition. I'm a tzaddik. במחשבת תשובה אחת יכול להפך מרשע לצדיק. He says that over here, why is this still holding? He says in a split second, in one passing thought, a person can turn from a rasha to a tzaddik. In one thought. A person can have in one thought, you know what? I'm done. I'm not done being a Rasha. I want to be a tzaddik. He says, we learn from this Gemara that just on the thought of that, on the potential that she'll be a tzaddik, she stays married to him. Now look at this. That moment, just that thought, the desire to be a tzaddik makes him a tzaddik.
Even though he was trying to deceive her.
That's what the Gemara is saying. He didn't deceive her. He felt that he wanted to be a tzaddik in order to be with that girl. He wanted to be a tzaddik. Not to, let me lie to her that I'm a tzaddik so I can be with her. No, I want to be a tzaddik so I can be with her. He had a teshuvah process in his mind that he really had a desire to be a tzaddik. So here we see that Hashem is also judging us on our potential. He says, if you had the thought to be a tzaddik, you have a potential to be a tzaddik. If you had the desire to be a tzaddik and the potential to be a tzaddik, it equates you to a tzaddik. This Gemara is just coming here to teach us how many outs Hashem is trying to give us. That's all I can tell you. Hashem is saying, just give me something to hold on to so I can get you out of this judgment day. Let me get you out. Just tell me you want to be a tzaddik. Good enough for me. The same way that this whole Gemara is just for us, so we can have that, so we can be in shul on Rosh Hashanah, or we can be here in Elul and say, you know what, I'm done. I really, really want to change my ways. Okay, you want to change your ways? You got a case. You got a case. You're good. Keep going. Keep going. Where that road will take you, Be'ezrat Hashem tatzliach. But Hashem says He judges you on the potential. In conclusion, you can see that Hashem is doing everything possible to get us to win Judgment Day. You can see that history shows us that all the legitimate loopholes that we found out tonight are all available to us this Judgment Day. They've always been available. We know that Aleph Tishrei has the energy for renewal, for the rebirth of yourself at any age, for prayers to be heard unlike any time during the year. You need to pray like Sarah, you need to pray like Rivka, you need to pray like Rachel, that turned their fate around from barren to fertile. You need to pray like Hannah, who needed no intermediary. She had a straight connection from the heart to Hashem. And she merited a prophet. Pray like Yosef to get out of your mental and physical jail. Pray like a slave that's trying to get out of your mental and physical slavery. Pray like Am Yisrael and try to get out of your personal Mitzrayim. You want to get out of the struggles of health, parnasa, zivug, pirya verivya, spiritual success, the success of Am Yisrael. You know, we all have our Mitzrayim. Rosh Hashanah is the time to bundle it up and say, Hashem, take me out of my Mitzrayim. And activate what Ishmael taught us. That Hashem judges you on who you are on that day. Find yourself in shul. Do teshuvah on Rosh Hashanah. As Hashem is judging you on Judgment Day and looks down at you to see if you're doing teshuvah, be doing teshuvah. Don't squander those 2 days. It's 48 hours that determine the entire next year. Immerse yourself in the spiritual energy of that day, of that holiday. If you're not in shul, have a seudah. If you're done with the seudah, read some Tehillim. If you're done reading Tehillim, pick up a book and study. If you're done, go for a walk, speak to Hashem, do Hitbodedut. Keep yourself, be mentally laser focused for 48 hours. Hashem is judging me right now. Hashem is judging me right now, the way that I am right now. And you don't know when He's looking at you. Try not to blink for 48 hours. Try not to mess up. There's way more to say about those 40 hours. We're going to do a step-by-step guide to Rosh Hashanah, 48-hour to-do list, how to win Rosh Hashanah. That's going to be next week's lesson. But all I can tell you is don't squander those 2 days. Find yourself doing teshuvah, find yourself praying, find yourself doing something holy on Rosh Hashanah. You want to get caught as a tzaddik on Rosh Hashanah. That's what Ishmael is teaching us. Get judged on your potential. You want to peak in Chodesh Elul. We keep saying, Elul has the power of the entire year. So if you're a graph, and you had a pretty good Tishrei, and then you start to dip, Cheshvan, Kislev, Tevet, Pesach, you went up again a little bit, then you dip, all of a sudden you look at a graph and you're like, $100 stock became a penny stock, you're right here. So what do you want to do? Come Elul, in the last month of the last quarter, boom, peak. Study, pray, bless, do everything. Take classes, wear tzitzit, everything, peak, go. All of a sudden, when they look at you at the business, like, listen, that really bad year, but this month, we got to see how things pan out. We can't close the company now. I mean, we're waiting all year for the company to do this type of performance. Hashem's been waiting all year for you to have this type of performance. Give it to Him in Elul. Peak in Elul. Peaking in Elul, Hashem will then judge you. Oh, this guy has potential. And we see that from the guy that got married, he says, I want to marry you because I'm a tzaddik. Oh, he has potential. He has the desire to be a tzaddik. Show that you have the desire to be a tzaddik. Hashem will judge you favorably. Hashem is opening every door of opportunity to save us from bad judgment. He's giving us every opportunity to win our judgment. Walk through those doors. Prepare your tefillah. Do your teshuvah. Change your identity. Change something about yourself. Give God a chance to save you. Give Him a chance. Do your hishtadlut. And give God a chance to bless you with a healthy and happy and blessed new year. Wake up. Your life is on the line. Your life is on the line. Your future is at stake. Hashem is reaching out to help you. In the Selichot book, it says, "Ve'iminecha peshuta lekabel shavim." Hashem's right hand is outreach. Please come back to me. He's like this. It's like you have a hand reaching out to you, and instead of reaching back, you're walking by it. He's reaching out. Grab that hand. Get saved. Invest in your future. Soften your heart. Break yourself and your bad habits. Pray to your Father in the heavens. And walk out of Rosh Hashanah absolutely certain that it will be a good year. And that's how you know if your teshuvah and your prayer worked. If you walk out of shul on Rosh Hashanah or on Kippur or after Sukkot and you feel it's going to be a good year and you feel it, you did your job. If you're like, oh, I hope it's going to be good. I hope you heard my prayers. A person who really does some soul searching, digs deep, and is honest and earnest about his teshuvah and comes and invests in those 40 hours and says, Hashem, I did my absolute best. I prayed my hardest and I did the best teshuvah that I can. Please accept my prayer. God, you love me. You're my Father. You walk out saying, you know what? It's going to be a great year. I did my part. They say, machatzita shekel. Why did Hashem ask us to give half a shekel to be counted? Why didn't he ask us to give a full shekel? Because this Rashi says, not Rashi, Chazal say, machatzita shekel, because Hashem only wants half. Just do your part. Do your part and He'll do the rest. And that's what we're all trying to say right here. Just do your part. Give God a chance to give you that successful year. And walk out of shul on Rosh Hashanah knowing it's going to be a good year. I wish you bracha and atzlacha in this teshuvah season. And may you merit to say and have Tachel Shana uvichotea. Let the year begin with its blessing. Thank you so much.